Well, this segment on micromounting is on the pedestal. The pedestal is what holds the mineral up. And the idea behind the pedestal, as you can see here, is it holds the mineral in such a way that you don't see the pedestal. So you can use practically anything for a pedestal. If the crystal's small enough, you can actually use a paint bristle. People use cactus needles, a bristle to a hairbrush or a tooth of a comb. Let's open this up and see inside here and see exactly what the pedestal does. And you can see this annotates crystal is sitting on a black cork, and this is a size 4-0. Now the corks come in different sizes. Here's a 4-0, a 3-0, and a 2-0. You don't really want to get much larger than the 2-0 for a micro mount. The cork will take up probably most of the box, but these corks have all been stained. And what we like to use is a permanent ink. This is a India ink, and the reason it works so well is it actually soaks into the cork, and when you glue to it, you're still actually gluing to the cork. Unlike spray paint, if you line them all up and spray them with a can of flat black, when you glue to the surface, you're actually gluing to the paint, and it could peel the paint off the cork, especially if the corks are a little dusty. It just flakes right off. Using a black magic marker, I guess in a pinch it would be okay, but the problem with that is with certain glues, it tends to lift the color, and it actually shows a little purple. But I find the black India ink nice and permanent. You can use this actually to make your labels if you want to write them by hand. A few other things you can use for pedestals. Here's a piece of basswood. You can also use, here we have a piece of balsa wood. This is a pretty big piece here. But it comes in all different sizes. You can always take a knife and shape it to whatever size you want. And the reason I like the cork the best is it has a wide base, and it gives you a good gluing surface so that the mineral stands up real nice and straight. And again, with all the different sizes, it'll fit a lot of different minerals. And with the cork, what you want to make sure is that it is trimmed to the proper height. Because here we have a half of a specimen box. Now after the specimen's glued to the cork, you want to make sure that it fits just right in there. You don't want them you don't want them all the way down here, because then it's kind of unsightly. You want all your mounts to be pretty much the same height, so when you're viewing they look nice and even from one mineral specimen to the other, so you're not constantly adjusting the focus knob on your microscope. So you want to make sure that it fits really nice. Now this box was made from a Micromounting box, just like this, and it was cut in half, and the lid was glued on. So it works nice for a little template for you. Sometimes it's necessary to mount your specimens on a disc. If you're using say you're going to mount some sand, and you really couldn't mount that to the top of the cork. So what you can do is you can take a disc. These are punched out of some cardstock, and you can glue them right to the top of the pedestal, and then put your mineral on top. Sometimes you want to use white, sometimes you want to use black, depending on the color of the mineral. You can also use larger discs. And here's a large white disc, and this fits perfectly inside the box. Takes up most of the top of the box. But again, this is for gluing a lot of loose specimens. Here for example is a specimen of silver from Lake Michigan, and you can see that they're all placed on that big disc. Sometimes you want to use a black disc. Here's a pyromorphite from France. This is a light green specimen, and you can see it looks real well sitting on top of that. If that was just glued to a real thin piece of wood, it would look kind of out of place in the box. Because when you have something with matrix behind it, it gives a little bit more character to the specimen. And when you're doing an individual specimen like the pyromorphite, you just want to call attention to the specimen, and not that it's just sticking out in the middle of nowhere. Here's an example with a white disc. This is from France. This is an epidote. This is a darker green, and you can see how nice that looks on top of that white background. Well, that's pretty much it on pedestals. Remember that the key to a pedestal is it's supposed to be invisible when you're looking at the specimen, because the specimen is the point of interest, not the pedestal. Thank you very much.